Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and today we're going to talk about a temporary policy statement from the Professional Ethics Executive Committee, or PEEC. They've done this a couple of times. I think the last time they did this was in 2020 related to an SEC order. Now they have also come out related to a legal decision that they needed to make, which is the USERRA. And so this is a new law, and they are trying to figure out how to be compliant with it at the same time as also follow our own standards. And so often what they do is a temporary policy statement so that we can understand what to do until they have time to update their standards. And so this was adopted at their November 2021 meeting, and it is temporary, again, until they can actually deal with this. And the USERRA, which is the Uniform Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, as well as any parallel state statutes, has very specific prohibitions against employers taking adverse employment actions because the employee is or was a member of the armed forces. And so this is really, for a lot of people, are reservists, those who are called up to the National Guard. They do amazing work for this country, and sometimes we have a conflict between our simultaneous employment rules, right? So maybe they work full-time for an accounting firm, but they also are in the National Guard and they get called up. And so as a result, right, they could be negatively impacted because that can create a conflict with the simultaneous employment rule or association with an attest client. And so when they are providing services to a branch of the armed services, right, and they're also in the National Guard, that can create an issue. But some firms specialize this, and a lot of times, if these men and women who are serving do move around a little bit, they have very limited options sometimes in terms of employment. And so they obviously are trying to protect these types of employees from having adverse action by their employers because of their service. And so this conflicts, though, with our policies on the AICPA side regarding simultaneous employment and association. And so, right now, until they're able to issue an actual update, which they've already been planning on. This was part of their proposed updates that they put out there when they were looking at their 3-year plan. One of them was to look specifically at simultaneous employment for these types of employees who do public service, to which we don't want to punish. We already have exceptions to the rule for professors, so people who work in public accounting who serve as adjunct faculty. We already have an exception for them. They can still audit the university and serve as an adjunct professor. And so we've had special rules for others. And so the look at was whether we should expand this to military. But we've kind of had our hand forced with this new law. And so the policy statement basically says that they're going to consider the member or the member's firm to be in compliance with the ethics code, with the independence code, if the member or the member's firm employs individuals who serve in the federal or state armed forces and provide attest services to the armed services, so long as they are not in a key position with the armed services attest client. Typically, that's not the case. They're not in a position to influence the attest engagement, and they're not on the engagement team. So again, when we take a look at this, so long as there's not a huge conflict here, they're really trying to just address the association here with compliance with USERRA. And it is a temporary policy. It was adopted at their November meeting, and it's effective until they rescind it. And sometimes these things stick around for some time until they have the time to put out a formal document, to get an exposure draft out there, to get people's feedback, to vote, and then to make it effective. And so in the December 2021 Journal of Accountancy, you will see this temporary policy statement in there, which makes it effective. And then it will continue to be until they can come up with some actual verbiage that can help assist in this area. So temporary policies really do help fill that gap in time where we don't have the ability to issue a final standard, but we also don't want to create an issue with compliance with laws or regulations. So really nice little opportunity here. So again, short and sweet to the point, but hopefully that helps those of you who do have that potential conflict of interest settle, that you don't have to worry about it until this is obviously settled more in final. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. We are getting really close to the end of the year. We have one more blog before we take off for our holiday break here. GLS does close for 2 weeks at the end of the year, so there will be no blogs during those 2 weeks. So one more week of blogs, and then we'll have a nice rest, and we're going to spend some time with our families, and we'll come back in January rejuvenated and ready to take on the new year. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully, or in the near future. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.